But with that, we'll move on to our next inductee. Tim Martin will be introducing Melissa Hemphill.
I'd like to thank Matt and the athletic department first. We had a wonderful night last night out on the field. Everyone here, all the athletes, had a chance to mingle and catch up. And really in the past, that hasn't been the way things went. And I think from speaking to them, they love what we've got here, Matt, up to Saturday now. And I think it'd be a way to go from now on with the Hall of Fame inductions. With that, I will be introducing Melissa Beerse. And she's a 2006 graduate, earned 7 varsity letters, 4 in track, 2 in cross country, and 1 in, I didn't even know she swam, but in swimming. So she was a busy young lady in high school. But before I go into any more detail about her, I have a couple stories. The first one will involve her mother and Melissa. I was teaching junior high PE at the time, and I think it was 3rd trimester. It was my 4th year going into my 4th year as the women's track coach, and I had just been to Columbus for the yearly Track Coaches Association. And they teach a technique and everybody else shares lies at the clinic. They tell their stories and stuff. But anyhow, one interesting thing came up. At the time, the women's pole vault was not invented. And so I thought about the team I had. I didn't have any pole vaults. And so I come back, and I always gave the presidential fitness test, the battery test, first 2 or 3 weeks of the grading period. And so we were doing it, and Melissa's on the set reach box. Most of you who were in my class have done it. And you struggle to get halfway across the bar. Well, her hands are out past the bar. So we do that test. I said, man, this girl's flexible. We do the standing long jump, which is for power and strength in your lower legs, and she jumps over 10 feet or something unbelievable. We do the shuttle run, and she wasn't quite as, what do I want to say, prolific in that event, but she had a good score. And the next test was the overhand hold-up test. And brought her over there. She was a little thin thing, fairly tall for her age. And when she got to 25, I said, oh my God, how long is this girl going to do? She ended up doing 28. And that was more than any boy had done the entire year in the junior high and any other girl. So, this was some type of athlete. So just so happened we had parent-teacher conferences the next week. And I got to meet her mother, Lisa, and I told her how Melissa was doing, and she's doing excellent, great. She's an active young lady, and I said, has she ever thought about running track? And she said she's in gymnastics. Oh, well, and then I started to, well, that's why she's so flexible, and all these other things. Well, finally I said, junior high track's starting here in a couple of weeks. Now, we're committed to gymnastics right now. And I said, I think she'd be a wonderful pole vaulter. And the pole vault wasn't going to even be an event for at least 2 years. So I was recruiting her for track and hoping the pole vault would work and get her in there. And I really thought she could probably be successful at it. So needless to say, she came out as a freshman. We didn't pole vault that year, but she had a great year on the team. She made a lot of friends, and got used to what track and field is. Run on the track and turn left. But she got used to it. She had a wonderful year. So that's my first story. My second story just pretty much deals with Melissa, how competitive she is. It's probably maybe the sophomore year, I can't remember now. She had run the 400, had done the high jump, been on a couple relay teams, and she was scoring points, not winning as much as she liked. But she was improving in the hurdles. And hurdles for most first-time young ladies is a 4-step event. You run 4 steps between the hurdles. It's, because of the length of their legs and stuff. And, she was doing that, and like I said earlier, on like the shuttle run, she had good speed, but she wasn't super fast. And the younger ladies, some of these little girls were a little faster, and they were able just to nudge her out on foot speed, not on technique or anything, but on foot speed. And one day I said, Melissa, you need to learn the 3-step. And being a teacher and stuff, I had picked up some tapes and books, and the most important thing is hitting that first hurdle, same place every time. And 1, 2, 3, you got to stretch your legs out and get over the next hurdle. It's a rhythm, and you go right down through there. Well, I figured it'd take Melissa a couple weeks, and I was wrong. She could do it by Friday. That was Monday. She was 3-stepping. And we happened to be in an invitational that Saturday. And she got into her hurdle event, made the finals, and there goes the gun, and there goes Melissa, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And she finished second. Half a step behind a senior that I think had been to the regionals the year before. And I come up, she took a half second off the school record. And I come up to Melissa and said, man, that was a wonderful race. And this is kind of funny. Yeah, you looked at me, I'm the first loser. So I said, well, I'm going to have to change that attitude, but that's how competitive she was. So let me get into what I have here for Melissa. She's one of 2 female athletes that have made it to the state in track and field at least 3 times. She is the only Little Miami athlete ever, boys or girls, to place in the state 3 times in the state track meet. I think she knows this. I thought her drive to succeed and improve, and along with how competitive she was really one of the top female track and field athletes in the state here her last 3 years. And it's not easy to get to the state meet once, let alone 3 times. And she also, with the good girls still here? Yeah. I think she was on the cross-country team with you guys, correct? Well, that was the first cross-country team ever to qualify for the regional, first women's team ever to qualify for the regional meet. And that's quite an accomplishment too, girls. Melissa ran a lot of different events, trying to figure out what she was going to be good in and just trying things. That was one of my things as a coach. We had tri-meets. Really, it involves 3 teams. But for me, it involved people trying different things in competition. So here's her list. 400 meters, high jump, 100 hurdles, 400 hurdles, 300 hurdles, 400 meter relay, 1600 meter relay, long jump, and pole vault. And she did well in all of them. But she excelled in the 2 hurdle events, the pole vault, and I had her high jump her senior year at the league meet. She hadn't done it since she was a freshman. She went out and won the league meet. So it tells you what type of athlete she was. Melissa set and reset school records for those 3 events, the hurdles, the 100 hurdles, the 300 hurdles, and the pole vault numerous times. I had to look through my records. I just got tired of looking at how many times they were reset. She still holds the school record for the 100 hurdles at 15.1 and the pole vault at 12.2, which is pretty amazing. And especially since this year I met Matt at the lead track meet, and we have a fabulous girls track team this year. These girls that I had there during my tenure set 9 new school records. And these girls this year broke every one of them but 2. And they're fun to watch, and they should be very competitive this year, I would hope. But to go along with that, back to Melissa. She was a 6-time FABC champion. That means she won her event 6 different times. They won all the pole vault. There was other events, high jump, hurdles, in the FABC league meet. She took second once, and she's probably saying that first loser thing again. But she's quite an athlete. She was voted outstanding female fields event athlete for the FABC her senior year. She was also voted outstanding track athlete at 2 other invitationals during her career. At district competition, she was a 3-time champion. Had the record for the pole vault several years. I'm not sure if she has it any longer. And in her other events, she placed in the top 8 7 times at the district meet, which is, you know, once we moved from Division II to Division I, that's pretty impressive for a track athlete. 2 first places at the regional meet and 1 top 4 finish. And at the state meet, she placed 8th as a sophomore, 5th as a junior, and 3rd as a senior. That's incredible, especially since the event, you know, those were probably the first 3 years of the pole vault. They held that meet at the state. 3 or 4 years on the team. A lot of teams keep statistics, and so did I. She was the top point scorer for the team. That means in an invitational, the most points you could win would be 40 if you won each event. And shoot, 1 year there were all 40s across the board. But the only year, and she'll love this, the only year she did not win the award was her, I think, junior year. She has a great friend in Kelsey Naylor. And she and Kelsey were dancing around the Naylor's kitchen, and she broke her foot. And she missed almost the entire season. But was healthy enough at the end of the pole vault to make it to state and finish 5th. So that's amazing. And to round out everything on Melissa, she's an excellent student. She was on the 4-time all-academic team for the Fort Indian Valley Conference, National Honor Society, and the Ohio State Track Association gives awards out for people that qualify for the state track meet. And she earned, she probably should earn 2, but I think they only gave the award out 2 years. She earned 2 all-state academic awards. I know my son's here, she's friends with my son, and some of the other people here. I know one time we had them over at the house and she was hurtling over our couches in the basement. I mean, they were having some fun. But after she graduated, she attended the Air Force Academy out in Colorado Springs. And she lives in Delaware now with a beautiful family. And I'm proud of you, Melissa. And it's your turn to come up here.
Thank you, Coach. I feel especially honored given that you're being inducted as the coach this year in the class, and also incredibly honored that my senior year's basketball team, which really rallied the community that you all are here and that we've gotten to spend this time together. And for the record, I did not help our cross-country team go to regionals. That was like all the goods. They were amazing. And definitely am a jumper more than I am a runner. So every good thing in my life has come from community and opportunity. Even though I never played a school sport until high school, I had been developing all the skills I needed to be successful in the pole vault through my childhood as a gymnast. And that was no small feat because I'm one of 8 kids. And at that time, my parents had 6 kids, all like 12 years and younger. And Dad, thank you for what you do to provide for our family, to work gymnastics into the budget, because that was not easy given the size of our family. Mom, thank you for waking up all of my younger siblings to come pick me up at school with a hot plate of leftovers, to take me to these 4-hour practices 5 days a week. Molly, thank you for being woken up, for all of those practices. Gymnastics, it really prepared me, in the stakes of you've got one shot, and you're getting judged, and oh, by the way, perfect as possible. It kind of trains you into being an interesting person. Neurotic, someone that needs to go to therapy later. I've been working on it, but it really prepared me when I got to track, and I was like, wait, I've got 3 attempts. I got to try 3 times, and no one's going to be judging like my execution of it. I just have to get over the bar. It was amazing. But anyway, I'm going to get to Coach Martin in a minute. But another really big part of my life, the reason I even started gymnastics is my grandfather, Pat. He's not with us anymore. But he watched me play on the monkey bars until my hands bled. Again, a little bit of the interesting personality trait. But he told my mom that she should put her in gymnastics. She's got this thing, this weirdness about her. And so eventually my grandmother and grandfather moved in, and then he took over taking me to practice. To these 4-hour practices, he would stay and watch. And this was like a 30-minute trip, a 4-hour practice, and a 30-minute trip home. And he did that for years. I'm pretty sure First Loser came from him. I'm like 100% positive that was a Pat thing for sure. But I grew up when the '96 Olympics happened in Atlanta and watched the Magnificent Seven win gold, and I was just convinced I was going to be an Olympian, and I just worked so hard. But as you can tell, I'm not exactly Olympic gymnast height. I kept growing and growing and growing. And by the time I got to my junior high years, I was in this really vicious cycle of having these huge growth spurts and having to relearn skills I already had just to accommodate for my new height, like not hitting my feet on the floor, doing skills on the bars. So it became very frustrating for the first time I had to really face, what maybe not being an Olympian was going to be like. This was, really kind of deep-seated childhood goal. But lo and behold, Coach Martin planted the seed. Ex-gymnasts make really good pole vaulters. And I didn't really know anything about the pole vault and definitely about school sports. I was, just kind of the weird kid that studied hard and went to these very long practices. But that seed, that changed everything for me. So I decided to retire from gymnastics my freshman year. I went out for the track team. Did not pole vault. I think we had also some equipment issues. We had this hand-me-down pit that wasn't within the safety regulations, and we had a pole from the 1970s, and it wasn't bamboo, so that was good, but it was not the appropriate pole to learn how to pole vault on. But I had so much fun being on a team again, and Courtney Gramley and the Goods, we're all on this team too, this track team. We ran relays together. We had a blast. We had so much fun. But anyway, this is a kind of around the time starting my track career that we met Beth and Ken. And Ken is also not with us anymore. This is Ken Schuster, who used to own the Valley Vineyards. And Ken had been a pole vaulter in 1947 and 1948. This was back when he was using a stick and jumping into sawdust. And our families met, and he and my grandfather became best friends. They were just so playful and so competitive, and they loved a winner. And when we, this convergence of happening to be good at pole vault happened, we just had a ton of fun. And Ken I think he actually bought us our first pit. so that I could start pole vaulting my sophomore year. And he bought a couple of poles to get started. And then he gave me the best advice. On a piece of paper, he wrote down my first practice. Number 1 was run fast, and number 2, jump high. And it's like the most Ken thing. It was so simple and so salient. He's just an incredible man. One of my favorite stories, this was at the district meet where I actually jumped the school record, the 12.2. And because I had set the record, and it was like a district record, it was a special time, the officials were like, oh, we're gonna let the grandfather come hand out the medals. And would you believe Ken hopped up and handed out all the medals while my actual grandfather sat in the stands, and then Ken never let him live it down. So it was such a beautiful time. Over the course of my high school career, we started collecting just an amazing community. We met Scott Carney, who's actually here today, and John Bartos. They were volunteer pole vault coaches at Kings and Mason. And those guys created just this epic pole vault community because it was a youth event. And kids who just were around just wanted to, come learn and get better. And that iron sharpens iron mentality, we all got better together. And we created this level of excellence in the pole vault that I don't think has really been replicated since, kind of in the surrounding community. So Scott, thank you for everything. The other thing that Scott did is he organized the Loveland Street Vault. So down by the running shoe store and the train tracks, we put a pole vault pit up. And Ken, at 74 years old, pole vaulted and cleared 6 feet, I think, and it was some Masters world record. So, again, I just went into the, chalk one up for Ken and, told my grandfather how he's first loser and all that. But anyway, my success in high school, it opened all of the doors for me. This was, I went to the Air Force Academy because I was recruited to pole vault. I had a really great career there where I broke their school records and went to the NCAA National Championships. But more importantly, I met my husband, Anthony. And we have 4 amazing children now, and 3 of them are competing in track, and it's just so amazing. Shorty, I hear you when you say, this is what it's about, just to watch it kind of come full circle. And kids, Oliver and Vivian, Henry, and Clark, watching you guys compete has been one of my greatest joys as a parent. All right, like I said previously, the successes that I've had, they're just the visible tip of an iceberg that's being held up by my friends and family, and then the opportunities that they provided for me. So no matter what season of life you're in right now, I hope that you can keep Ken's word close to your heart. Run fast, jump high, and bring someone with you. Thank you so much.
Great job, Melissa. I would like to note that our current pole vault coach, Bob Rotherman, is here, and we are working together to replace that sawdust pit that we have. So we're going to get a new one this year, hopefully. The other note was that if anyone did see our girls track team this year, you talk about a dramatic catapult forward as far as competitiveness. In 1 year, we went from 8th in a conference of 10 to 2nd. We had the runner of the year, both distance and sprint. They were incredible, and that staff's doing a wonderful job. And I think they're only going to, that trajectory is going to continue.